Alice in Wonderland by Amorina and Sophia Nino. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Alice. One afternoon, Alice and her sister were relaxing by the riverbank. She spotted a white rabbit wearing a waistcoat, holding a watch in the distance. Alice became curious and ran after the white rabbit. Alice's sister followed her, knowing she likes to start trouble, and warned her not to stray too far. Alice became very angry, but proceeded to chase after the white rabbit. She ended up following the rabbit through a hole that led straight down. Alice was falling further and further down the hole that seemed to have no end. Thump! Her fall had suddenly ended. She found herself in a very long hallway with numerous doors, all locked. This led to her having a fit and throwing a tantrum. There was a key that appeared on a glass table, but it was too small to fit any of the doors she saw. Her anger grew. But wait, a light appeared from a curtain that she had not seen before. Alice revealed a tiny door, a perfect match to the key. Not being able to fit in the door, Alice lost her temper yet again. Running back to the table, fuming, she spotted a bottle on top of it saying, "Drink me." Alice drank the bottle and started to shrink, small enough to fit in the door. However, she left the key on the table. Alice blamed the white rabbit for running off so fast that she believed he put her into this predicament and began to resent him. Despite her frustration, she spotted a tiny glass box underneath the table reading "Eat Me," which had a slice of cake inside. After eating the cake, Alice grew until her head hit the ceiling. She became even more frustrated than she was prior, as now she could not even see her feet. Alice felt so much pain and anger to the point where she began screaming and crying, creating a puddle of tears surrounding her. Hearing her, the white rabbit scurried off faster, dropping a pair of white gloves and a fan. Alice picked up the white rabbit's belongings, began fanning herself, and splash! Alice had shrunk due to the rabbit's fan and slipped into the puddle of tears she wept while she was a giant. Alice passed many animals along the way and participated in a caucus race in order to get dry. Alice suddenly proclaimed, "I miss my cat Dinah. She is excellent at catching vermin and little birds," Alice said. This shocked the group and all the birds there, causing all the creatures to leave. Alice was alone again until she heard tiny footsteps in the distance. Alas, it was a white rabbit. Where did they go? Alice immediately knew he must have been talking about what he had left behind earlier. The white rabbit noticed Alice and angrily yelled, "Why, Marianne, what are you doing out here? Go home and fetch me a new pair of gloves and fan immediately." Alice was about to talk back to the rabbit, as she did not like being told what to do, until he scampered off. After heading inside of his house, she began searching the room and instead found a tiny bottle and drank it. Instantaneously, she grew until she was the size of the entire room. This infuriated Alice, but she had no other choice except to sit there and wait out the effects. "Marianne! Marianne! Where are my gloves and fan?" Alice heard the cries of the white rabbit. Hearing the plan to burn down the house, Alice screamed for him not to and threatened to wreak havoc if anything happened. Alice noticed tiny slices of cakes lying on the floor. After eating some, Alice was the same height as the grass. Alice then encountered a large caterpillar who was smoking far yonder. The caterpillar broke the silence and asked, "Who are you?" She did not like that the caterpillar seemed to be intrusive and angrily stormed away. The caterpillar yelled for her to come back. "One side of the mushroom will make you grow taller, the other smaller." Alice went around and began eating bits of the mushroom. She began shrinking at a fast pace and found her neck started to stretch. Alice persevered and reverted to her original small size and made sure to keep morsels in her pocket. Surprised, Alice saw a Cheshire cat grinning at her from on top of a nearby tree branch. "Would you please direct me where to go?" Alice asked. "In that direction you'll find a hatter, in the other you'll find a March hare." Alice did not want to go where mad people resided, but the Cheshire cat stated they were all mad there, including the two of them. The Cheshire cat vanished, leaving Alice to go in the direction of the March hare, where she spotted an enormous house.
Tea party was occurring outside of the March Hare's house. There sat a March Hare, Mad Hatter, and a sleeping Dormouse at a long table. Alice tried to explain her predicament, but the Mad Hatter and March Rabbit continued to interrupt and throw snide comments at Alice. She became fed up and irritated with them, then stormed off, thinking to herself that was the worst tea party she ever attended. Alice found she was back in the long hallway, now able to shrink down with the morsels she carried, entering the doorway into the beautiful garden. She immediately noticed that the gardener shaped as cards were painting the white roses red. Confused Alice abruptly asked the reason, to which the card said a white one was put in by mistake. Unfortunately, before they could finish painting, the queen had arrived with her court. Despite the card yelling at Alice to lay down flat on her face, she refused the order. The queen was quick to ask Alice for her name and who were the 3 cards she was with. Alice replied with a snarky comment, "How should I know? It's none of my business." The queen became furious with her response and screamed, "Off with her head." However, she was eventually spared and invited to play against her in a croquet match. To Alice's findings, the equipment was in favor of the queen, and Alice raged that the game was not being played fair. To ease her, the Cheshire Cat appeared as a distraction, which soon turned into the queen wanting to behead him. Luckily, he disappeared before they could do so. After the quarrel, it was discovered that someone had stolen some of the queen's tarts. Everyone hurried into the courtroom. The tray of tarts was placed in the center of the room and looked very appetizing to Alice, but she was unable to eat them. She began to lose her temper yet again, but since everyone was focused on the trial, no one seemed to notice, which only further angered her. As the witnesses were giving their statements, Alice began to feel she was growing larger. It was then her turn to take the stand. Forgetting that she had grown a vast amount, she ended up tipping over the jury box, angering the jurymen and causing her frustration. The king had exclaimed, "The trial cannot proceed until the jurymen are back in their places." This frustrated Alice even more, as she thought they could just move themselves. When asked about what she thought or if she had known anything, she became irreverent and simply said nothing. This started a whole dispute and eventually narrowed in on just the queen and Alice. Alice's joy of arguing with others made the situation worse, that ended with the queen screaming, "Off with their head." In the blink of an eye, the whole pack of cards went into the air and came flying down at her. She began to get annoyed and screamed out of anger as she tried to swat them off. Then suddenly she found herself laying on the riverbank next to her sister, who was clearing her for some leaves that fell from the tree. Alice was left confused as it appeared to be just a dream.